And no, well, the more annoying part was that I was just like, guys, that was shit. I don't know what happened. You guys can all dance
we've all had our moments.
You can all dance faster than that. But then as soon as I said that, the next time they did it, perfect. Everyone was on
they
time.
just need to know.
Treat me.
I was like,
That's what I mean. They need to know.
All right. Welcome everybody. Cheers, guys. Cheers very much. Welcome back to another episode of MackZaddy.
Yay!
Oh, you are coming here live. Well, not
Well, we're there
not really
coming here live,
but you are here with us. My name is Mackenzie.
I'm Zach,
And I'm Maddie.
the amazing Zaddy.
The amazing.
MackZaddy.
Whoa!
Oh my goodness.
Whoa, a divide between us. I get it. It's all right.
It's fine. We love you.
How's everyone's days been? How's everyone
Really
going?
good. Really excited for the next few weeks, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot happening.
So much.
Yeah.
So much is happening.
So much happening.
I feel like we're achieving a lot.
Yeah.
All individual stuff.
Oh
that's
yeah.
going on.
Oh yeah. Look at us
Cool.
go.
Yeah.
know.
Go
Go
team.
I like it.
Oh, I just
3,
high-fived
2, 1. Ha. No. Okay.
Drink to that. What are we?
So today we're going to be talking about our process of how we like to self-improve or better ourselves along our dance journey, and kind of the process of how we do that. So we've kind of touched on this in other episodes, but we will go deep dive into our own individual process that we've been through of learning and bettering ourselves as we go. So, does anyone want to start? Who wants to
I
start?
guess I have a question. Do you guys have anything that like stands out to you like immediately? Do you remember like throughout your journey that was like a big moment for you, like learning wise or?
Oh, I mean, lots.
So many. West Coast goes like this. It's like up and down consistently. It never stops.
Yeah.
Which is good, but you always have like the ebbs and flows of the whole West Coast
I was
journey.
just talking to I think it was Keegan and Lou last night, and we were just saying, or at least it was just like having light bulb moments, or at least the more I learn about West Coast, the more I realize I don't know. Or there's just so much more to.
Maslow's hierarchy, people.
Oh yeah.
Say that one more time for me.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Maslow's.
Yeah.
Maslow.
It's like the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Yeah.
Which basically sums West Coast swing up perfectly.
That's actually, I feel similarly in that vein about my tattoos. Every time I get a tattoo, all I notice is all the other space on my body. I don't have tattoos.
So much empty space.
I'm like, so much space to fill. Oh God, like I'll fill like a part of my body and it's like, oh, but that part next to it. You need something there.
That's
which
gold.
kind of goes in hand. But I think, what was Lou saying? She was just like light bulb moment after light bulb moment. There's just so many freaking lights on now.
So many lights.
Like,
It's a light show.
It's
blinding.
I can't afford the electricity bill.
Yes.
It's like
I can't see anymore.
Yep.
So, I guess I'll go first then, since you guys have so many things to think about. But jump in any.
So many things.
Jump in at any point. I feel like this can be just like a go back and forth kind of thing.
Oh, we will.
So like, I
Conversation
think
style.
as far as like how we go about building ourselves now, or myself anyway, building myself now, it's very different to what it used to be. So for me, I feel like after taking over the school, it's shifted to how do I build something that will last without me, or how can I build something that will continue to grow without me, and how can I build, like this sounds kind of self-absorbed, but like how can I build something that will be amazing, if that makes sense.
So you're more talking about the fact that if you want to go away and like do some more personal development, what you have here in Brisbane is still going to stay functioning.
Correct.
While you're not around.
So I want to be able to. I want to be able to travel overseas and grow my like own dance skills, and then also be able to bring them back and grow Australia as well. Because I think we need to have a lot more like higher level dancers, and I think to do that we just all need to know more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's not so much a dance related goal. If you go back a few years, it was still dance related more so. This is more like how can I run a school, how can I manage expectations, people, happiness, burnout, all these sorts of other things, even like money.
The cocktail
budgeting.
that is life.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So it's now a little bit shifted that way. but in the sense of like dance-wise, we have a routine we're working on at the moment. So that's kind of something that I'm like trying to focus on.
Yeah.
Although the times that we put into that isn't very often.
It's
For now.
Yeah,
For now.
It's
For
a
now,
bit hectic
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, busy time.
Especially when you have like life stuff, like marriage is taking on a lot
Marriage.
Marriage.
is taking up a lot of our time, right? So more so yours than mine, but
It's taking up a lot of my time.
Yeah, so it's taking a lot of Spencer's time.
Actually, yeah.
The least amount of time is actually taken up by you,
good point.
Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what I mean by managing expectations?
Yes. No. Yeah. The biggest thing to learn is how to delegate roles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, what about you guys for at the moment? What are you focusing on like that to build you? It might maybe dance related, but
Yeah.
yeah. What about you guys?
I think, at least for me, the biggest thing I'm working on now, I guess, is like choreography. Because like we've been doing a bunch, and I think we mentioned it in an episode we just filmed as well. I don't know if that will be up before this one. We'll find out. But if it is, you'll already know. If you don't, this is a bit of a sneak peek. But just like, yeah, I haven't done much choreo, or at least I don't feel like I've been the most experienced. But I've been doing so much of it as of late. So that's been definitely a skill that has been developing with time.
Yeah, awesome.
And I think for you guys at the moment, the good thing is you're not like, and we did talk about this as well before, but you're not restrained to staying within the guidelines of like a classic choreography kind of skill set. So you're able to be a little bit more creative at the moment and kind of, you know, broaden your horizons a bit with what you can put in.
That's it. Except we've run into a few times because of just how many things we've now choreographed separately, where we'll like do something or we'll do choreo and we'll make something new and we'll be like, damn, this is really cool. I really like this. And then we realize it's just what we did in the last routine. Or we've just like taken it from like a different thing we've done. It was like, oh, all right, scratch that.
You mastered it and it feels good.
Yeah. And you guys go about like just changing that, just like from watching it and then like trying to make it different a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's like we try our best to like communicate what we at least can envision with whatever the sound might be within the song, and like trying to like, I guess firstly like communicate what you're kind of seeing in that, because generally what or at least in my case what I'm seeing and what ends up kind of happening are like two different things. I think it's like one thing to kind of just picture it in my mind, but then to actually put it into practice or to actually do it usually works out to be something a little different to that. It's never exactly the same thing I had in my mind, but I think generally it turns out better. Because I think you work on it and you tweak
a couple
it
times,
and you just got to keep going.
Yep.
So that's for sure been like a new thing that I've had to develop. I think
cool.
Outside of that, in terms of my actual dancing, I actually really don't feel like I've done a lot in terms of like improving my actual dancing until like, I guess similarly like recently. I think for a little while I got to a point, at least within Australia, like I got to a level where I kind of stopped learning.
Kind of comfortable in that level or just...
I think like
it's like,
at least for me, a finite amount of resources I had in terms of learning. Just within Australia, I think it's just a small community. And I got to a point where, and I think I can still learn things, but at a much lower rate now that I was like.
And that's
3 or 4
no
years
diss
ago.
to anyone in Australia. No. There's definitely lots of people that Mackenzie and I and Maddie can learn from in different ways, because there's so many different types of styles of West Coast that you can always learn to appreciate someone else's view on it and how they think about it and how they phrase things, just their mentality around it all. But I think it is harder again because the more you know which path you want to kind of go down. And just because you see all these amazing things doesn't mean you don't respect it, but it just might not be the way that you want to go down, if that makes sense. So like, I have a funny story.
please do tell.
So I was at an event, and I'm going to try to not use this person's name. This person came and saw me and said, "Why haven't you done privates with me?" And I was like, because...
Was this like recently?
This is a long time. This is a long time ago.
Like how long are we talking?
We're talking maybe 3 years before COVID.
3 years before COVID.
Before COVID,
yeah.
Okay.
Like 2017-ish.
What is it? BC.
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 Nice.
Oh my god.
Damn.
But yeah, so this person came up and like said this, and I was like, just because I haven't, and then they full on like was actually offended that I didn't, like, because I would take privates from all these other pros like in Australia, and this person was considered a very high level dancer, and I was like, I just haven't really thought about it really, to be honest. And no offense to you, I just wasn't like in my mind.
Yeah.
You're not easy to access. You're not necessarily the person that I was like, this is maybe the longest we've talked maybe ever.
No, we're offended. You didn't do a prank?
I think I was crying because I was like, I'm sorry.
They just made you feel
I don't
like
know
so
why
tired.
I felt bad, but like, yeah, whatever. So that was an experience I had that was like interesting. Like, again, coming back to like different dance styles, it's not that I didn't like that person's dance style. I think it's actually very awesome and I look up to this person.
Yeah.
It's just, it didn't cross my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think that's kind of like an interesting point, or at least just like the idea there is just so many different types of dances, and everyone's doing it their own like specific way. No, like two dances are going to be exactly the same. Well,
Unless they are.
actually, sometimes actually. Oh, we'll have to. There's a video a little while back where we actually pretty much do look exactly the same.
When I was actually teaching you more often.
Yeah.
I
Before Mackenzie found himself.
Mackenzie found Mackenzie.
Yes.
And there was a point where that video, we looked exactly the same. I could teach Mackenzie anything and he would replicate it to a T. And I loved it.
It was pretty cool. It's like,
Yeah.
I watched that video back now and it's like, damn.
Yeah,
Like,
I loved it because I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun being able to be like, okay, I want to do this and we're going to look the same. It's a really cool feeling. At the same time, there was a point where I got to and I was like, okay, for myself, I was told, hey, look, you can't be Maxence looking like Maxence or Ben being Ben. And I was like, okay, we probably need to stop doing privates, really. Because I feel like if you wanted to, you could mimic anything that I would give you.
Yeah.
So there's probably not much that I could be like, yes, if you wanted to go down a different path, you could mimic that. And I still feel like, now I feel like it would be harder to mimic exactly because you're...
I don't think I could do it as well as I would have.
And same for me with you now.
Yeah.
But like, that's because now you've developed your own style and I've
it's just way
developed
too
more my
advanced
own
for you.
style.
But not quite all star.
Yeah.
Not quite all star, yeah.
So I think there's a point. I think there's a point where you have to like, yes, absolutely dive deep into like trying to look as much and understand and be in that person's brain, but then also being like, okay, now I've got that. Let's take something else on.
That's
Sorry, we haven't talked about you yet, Maddie, because
That's okay,
you're
we'll
the
get
quiet girl.
Well,
in the
then
background.
anyway.
So Zach, yeah, because you were trying to talk about yourself. Weren't you?
Yeah.
So I beat you to it.
Anyway.
No, the difference is I actually just wait for people to finish talking before I start talking.
That's so generous.
I love
So
it. Zach just thinks that means I'm quiet because I'm polite and considerate. Oh, my life.
No.
Anyway.
No, over to you.
So many.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's weird, right? Because I feel like, I don't know, over the course of the time I've done West Coast, there's just obviously been different strategies and different focuses along the way. So like when I started, we didn't have classes, really. It was just all YouTube and it was like online, the limited online stuff that we could find.
Yeah.
So it was a matter of like watching and then trying to replicate.
Yeah.
But through that process, you obviously miss the connection side of West Coast because you don't know what it's supposed to feel like. So there's that when I first started because there was really no other option.
Yeah.
And then once you actually travel and experience it in real life, you're then like, oh, now I've got to work on the actual connection side of things. So now I've got to focus on that. And then after that, you do competitions and then you start to realize, you know, there's certain things that I need to work on to do better and get into finals and then spotlights, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think now, like the last few years, especially like our focus has been more, well, I think this has been the case for both of us, but for me especially, when I'm learning, I'm not just taking on information for myself to do. I'm actually learning and thinking, okay, I've taken this thing, now let me think about what I'm doing and how I would explain it to another person, because now as a teacher, I have a complete different view on how I learn because I'm learning for two people, essentially. I'm learning
Even
for
more.
myself, and then how to explain that same thing to multiple different people.
You need to understand it enough to be able to teach it and like actually even understand it enough to make it your own so that you can like develop that and teach it to other people.
Yeah. And I think like there's definitely like a little element of me that kind of just wishes I could just, you know, selfishly go into something and just learn for my own personal growth and not have to worry about, you know, passing the knowledge on. But at the same time, it's...
Screw you all, it's mine!
But at the same time, it's so rewarding then being
Yeah.
able to pass it on. And when you do go more in depth to understanding what you're actually doing, you obviously then do it better yourself.
There's a deeper understanding.
Yeah. So it's not just like, oh, I'm like, talk about like Mackenzie sees you do something and just does
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, I could do that, but I want to understand the feeling, the how, the why, the when.
I think there is definitely a difference between
Yeah.
teachers that learn and then try to teach it to someone else, but they don't actually understand, or they haven't quite made it their own
Yeah.
version of that, or like, because they've tried to pretty much put word for word into the next, like
Yeah.
transfer that to the next person, opposed to learning it and getting the bits that you understand and then embodying that and making your own version of that when you teach it. I think if you teach something word for word, everyone's bodies are different, so it doesn't make sense if I teach this big ass dude that's at like 6'5" and
Keegan.
yeah, and,
Keegan.
and then there's this like little Asian dude,
Kim.
right?
We love you, Kim.
So there's no way that you can communicate the same information word for word to those two people.
Yeah,
Like it
just
doesn't make sense.
doesn't work.
And then you get like
Yeah.
those super like just attractive people, Mackenzie,
Zach, Maddie,
MackZaddy.
MackZaddy. Ooh.
and what do they do?
They're just so good.
They're so good.
No. That's like that. That's like a really good point though. Like everyone learns very differently, or at least like within now being like teaching and stuff. It's like people really require different things from like
Yeah.
a teaching standpoint. And that like in and of itself is like a learned skill. And then I think that I guess even more so that feeling of like now being in workshop and being like, oh, this is really cool. How can I integrate this in my dancing, and how can I make other people do the same thing?
On what you just said, like everyone learns differently too. Like you said you were very visual, like you had to learn from YouTube or whatever, and there were no classes. So you lose some of the aspect of the technique or the feeling behind it, the technique of the feeling, whatever.
Now I'm more feeling. I'm more
Right.
aesthetic, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a very visual learner as well. And I would say you probably are as
Yeah,
well.
For sure.
I
Do you
think
reckon?
we're both very
Yeah.
I'd
highly
say
visual.
pretty
Yeah.
visual.
But like I also like to do it, like practice it. Some people are very analytical and like really in depth and
Yeah.
need to know all the whys.
Yeah.
Some people just need to practice it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, and being aware of all those, what learning style you have or how
Yeah.
you ingest knowledge,
Ingest,
digest, whatever.
Slurp it up. Slurp that knowledge up.
soak it up, reel it in. However, wow. Yep.
Reel it all in. Anyway.
There's a sound effect for that one? No?
I don't know.
I'll chuck it in on purpose.
Yeah. We're definitely fishermen. Fisher people.
Relax.
But I think
Anyway.
that knowing that how you learn as well is going
Yes.
to help you find the people that work for you as well.
Do you remember much of like when you guys were going through like your earlier days and what you were doing in terms of like
Yes.
learning, or like what were like the things
Yes.
or like the steps you were taking to like better yourselves?
So if I go way back, I think as far as like what motivated me to keep learning or like keep going forward was definitely there was some positive reinforcement, either from placements or doing well in comps or people around me going, yeah, that was good, or just doing okay, I guess.
Yeah.
There was some positive reinforcement, but at the same time, there was a lot of encouragement at the same time with like doing privates with. I was lucky that Dad had pros come over, so I think my first ever private was with Jennifer DeLuca.
Damn. Nice.
And I had my demo was Holly Skinner at the time.
How old would you have been?
Like
Oh.
13 or 14?
Damn, nice.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember the age.
Yeah.
I just remember like that was my first private. I was very early in.
Yeah.
And then I think the first ever pro I danced with in the scene was Sarah Van Drake. And I remember going into the Thursday night social before the event.
Yeah.
And I was like really just like not sure what to expect. Awesome, there's lots of people at dancing more than normal.
Yeah.
I knew everyone from the modern jive scene though already, so that was cool, like I was comfortable. Anyway, got in there, Sarah, I've been watching her on YouTube.
Was this
Dad
on Green
introduced me to her.
Slopes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Was this? There's a video.
There's
of
a
this
video
on
of
YouTube,
this,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
I
I
literally-
know the one.
I literally remember
You guys are the
that.
same height.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. She's like, finally, someone my height I can
Yes.
dance with.
And she was,
It was very
amazing.
cute.
She made me feel like $1 million. Like and all I knew was basics. And she made me feel like she was having the time of her life, dancing to the music, however she wanted to hear it, and just made me feel really good.
Yeah.
And I think she asked me for a dance later. So that in itself motivated me to be like, fuck, that was fun.
Yeah.
And I often try to make sure I want to be that person for someone else in the future. Multiple times. One day.
One day.
One day.
I can only hope to be as good as Mackenzie.
So that's like my
Yeah.
first.
really hope.
That's my first memory of like what drove me to like drive me down the private lesson and learning that path. Other than that, it was like actually going to classes. Classes are like you wouldn't have had this dance style unless you had the classes because like you in Perth, you started the classes there. You had to learn off YouTube or learn online without the feeling it's not quite the same.
There was like
Right.
a really tiny community that had a class going. I don't even know where it came from or how it started.
Okay.
But like it was tiny.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had that, but it was very limited.
Okay, well,
the rest of it
like
is, yeah,
at the same
teacher.
time, the
Yeah.
numbers. If like,
Yeah.
we've got now 1, 2, 3 classes that I can think of. We got Le Step, we've got Rawcon, and we've got Precision
In Queensland.
in
yeah.
Queensland. So we got, I think Le Step is more towards the Gold Coast side,
Yep.
and we're Brisbane, and Precision's Brisbane.
Yep.
I think it's on the north side. From
It's
memory.
in the city itself.
In
In
the
the
city.
city, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 3 classes, and hopefully that means that this state gets bigger, right?
Woo!
We all bring in different people, create our different crowds, and we bring a big scene hopefully into the West Coast Swing event. And then the pros come in, and then they inspire and do what they do, and then they drive more wanting to learn on a different level, I think, because as far as classes go, I feel like what you said before, we're kind of stuck to learning from the people that we hang around all the time.
Yeah. Which is fine. The people we're around are pretty good.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right?
it's like
Like
to-
ourselves included.
Like
hanging
ourselves
around each other.
Like we were saying before, once you start to know their style 100%, like
Yeah.
we could do each other's style
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
Then you got to go somewhere else. And
Exactly.
I don't think there's that many people to choose from at the moment. At the moment.
I think
Oh,
it just takes like a certain, like where we're all kind of at, and you know, like dance partnerships like Emma and JP, and you know, I think for us it's about providing a space for each other to be creative.
Yeah.
And like being able to just like be there and provide some sort of connection or something to work off of so that we can kind of experiment and play with different things.
Yeah.
So I think like the all stars in our community and you know like a lot of the advanced dances, that's kind of where we're at in terms of how we inspire and teach each other.
This is, like I love, I see Sydney do it, I see New Zealand do it, and we kind of do it. We're very busy at the moment, but we are trying, like when you get together with the group of people that are all
It's like a
same
core group
mindset,
that's really like hungry to
hungry
do
to
well
challenge
and
themselves. It can
yeah.
be same level groups or it can be mixed level groups
Yeah.
in terms of like knowledge or like comp level or whatever.
Yeah.
But that really also helps everyone understand. I like it when you go to those things and people are not necessarily critiquing each other, but they're telling each other what they liked about the dance.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, cool, we're dancing. You do a little spotlight in the center. Everyone's watching you, and then they're cheering you along at the same time.
Very
and then,
important.
And then at the end, you all go something you liked about the dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you stayed on time that for a lot longer than you normally do. Maybe leave out that last part. But you do, I liked that you rolled your feet. I liked that it doesn't have to be crazy stuff. It doesn't have to be. I like that you did a backflip, or I like that you
And twerked in the splits and then
whatever.
did
That crazy
I mean, that
pattern
would
you
be
did.
pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
It can be that though. It doesn't
Yeah.
like.
It's really interesting because I think, at least I think when I was starting, like positive reinforcement, I think I resonated very well with.
Oh yes, it's one.
Like
Yeah.
I think that was really good. But I've done privates with people where they're just like, tell me it's shit if it's shit. like if it's bad, then tell me it's bad. And I'll be like, all right. that was bad. But some people don't need they need the opposite. They need to be really knowing pretty actively what's going wrong for like the to know what to do better. Whereas some people need to know what they're doing well is going well for them to continue on like developing with like the confidence or like in whatever way that is. And I think I was more on the latter side of that.
There's an episode that you'll hear later on where we talked about some people want to better their strengths or like work on their weaknesses. That's kind of coming into that as well.
Yeah, that's it.
You said you were going to say something?
Like,
Share.
And subscribe. Haha, back to the video.
See.
you mentioned that when you were coming through the scene that you grew a lot and had a lot out of positive reinforcement. Zachary.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
That's me. Listen.
Do you feel like you do that enough for other people as a pay it forward?
I would say that you don't feel like I do it enough for you.
No, not me. It's not about me. I'm talking about like just, you know, like your students and just like the community in general.
I try.
What's that?
So there's definitely a part of like what Mackenzie was just saying. There's people that definitely do learn
Yes.
from wanting to know the honest truth about like, if that didn't work, tell me.
Yeah.
So I don't go in assuming that I don't really know which one people like or want. I go in being honest. So sometimes that honesty comes across very blunt. Sometimes the honesty is really encouraging, but it depends on what I see and what I am honest about, right? So I can honestly choose to be more encouraging on smaller things, or I can honestly be more blunt about certain things as well. I think there's a fine balance, but what do you think I do, Maddie?
I think it's more, I don't know, I think it is a case of understanding the student and then I guess like addressing as a whole. Like if we're talking about a class situation, especially if you want to like keep the energy high and keep everyone like in good energy and good spirits, you probably want to go obviously more the encouragement
As a teacher,
side
yes.
as a teacher, as opposed to the guys that was shit, let's do it again, you guys suck.
in a class, let's make sure we paint the picture here. I'm not in class saying that was fucked, guys.
No, he doesn't.
Let's do it multiple times.
Unless it's like a class of
I will
upper
go-
level dancers and then we can be
You
brutally
have an
honest.
interesting one.
I,
Literally with that word.
interesting. Oh yeah. I'll never say it's like bad, but I'll be like, if I like count them through and do whatever we've just taught them, and it doesn't go very well, I'll kind of just say interesting.
Interesting.
And then I'll.
People in the class are like, interesting good or interesting bad?
What does that mean? So
I think
I'm
I
gonna-
normally say, well, that wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it's not good, I'll be like, oh yeah, that wasn't the best. Let's just maybe think about this as well.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back. There was a class I taught. It might have been last year. It was one of our level 3 classes. And this one, this seems a little less nice. I thought it was really funny. But we were doing like, we like taught them like the thing or whatever we were teaching them, and we did it to music. But the music was like a bit faster than what I counted to. But not that fast. It was like fine. Everyone could do it.
So you
Everyone
counted
could
off time?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
when I was
he was counting off time.
Right. Okay.
no. So I counted
No, the
with.
song was off time.
Yeah, the song was off time.
Song was off time.
What had happened is I'd counted them in without music, and they made them do the runs, and I was like, all right, cool, it's all going well. I played the song. It was faster than what I had counted.
Right.
So I counted them in and then stopped counting.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah, which is why I'm trying to get.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No.
No, I was like, did you?
No.
Anyway.
Anyway, but then and then I played the song. It was faster than they had, I guess expected.
Yep.
And it was terrible. They were all so off time. And I
But that
stopped.
happens a lot.
No,
That's
but
that's
I
not
like-
just this. That's not just Rawcon. That's
Yeah.
I've been taught around the world, and
Yeah.
as soon if you practice to slow songs a lot, and then
Yeah.
you play this one song that's just tiny bit different.
Yeah.
It's like they're still focused on the pattern so much or what to do there that they're like, oh wait, I have to do it to music on time.
Nah, I'd feel more sympathetic, but what we had done is things that everyone, at least that was in the class at that time, I already know, prior to being in that class, should already have known. It wasn't like crazy difficult stuff or crazy difficult moves. And when they just the more annoying part was that I was just like, guys, that was shit. I don't know what happened. You guys can all dance.
We've all had our moments.
You can all dance faster than that. But then as soon as I said that, the next time they did it, perfect. Everyone was on
they
time.
just need to know.
Treat
I was
me.
like,
That's what I mean. They need to know.
all right.
We've all had our
I don't know what
moments.
happened,
Yeah.
but it's fine. We moved
Yeah.
on from that.
We love you guys at Rockon.
I love you guys. Yeah.
So I think, like, in terms of, I guess, learning for us now, it's, for Zach and I, it's more like, what is
talk for yourself.
No, I'm saying, without, like, because we don't really train much. We don't train much. We don't get time to train much. So for us, it's more, what is the priority in terms of what we need to get done? So right now,
Absolutely.
it's a routine. Okay, so we're focusing on the routine and that's our focus. We're going to work on the content, the choreo, the styling of that specific routine.
Yep.
Not our own dancing, because that's just another thing that takes more time.
We social dance maybe once a week, twice a week.
Together.
Yeah, we're always at the same classes. I do genuinely like to get that at least one dance in so that we can, because it is fun to like practice with that. And when we were doing that group training with other people, it forced us also to dance with each other and other
it's
people,
good.
which made it fun too. We could actually get that. I love the social dancing part. Like I know I didn't rank however I ranked those, but the social dancing, I like to be able to dance well together with everybody, right? So I do want to make sure that we practice that as well. That to me is still lots of practice because again, Jack and Jill's are the things that make you move up in the
Yes,
West
it
Coast swing world
is.
apparently. So
Apparently.
Apparently. It's alright, man. You stick with your routines
Yeah, my routine.
that are not West Coast
That's
swing.
it. That's it.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, what about you guys? Like, something for you when you're coming through? I guess, like the journey, right? So we're starting off. I like said that was the first thing I could remember. Like going to class, my dad made me go to class, and then so on, so on. But once you're in and you've got kind of the bug, you're doing privates, you're doing events, you're doing all that sort of stuff. I feel like once you do events, privates, you find out the people that inspire you through routines or Jack and Jill's or social dances or whatever you're seeing on YouTube or whatever. I did a deep dive. I used to live on YouTube at school.
You said deep dive like 4 times.
Did I?
so far. Yeah,
Deep
you're
dive.
just all about that thing.
I like to dive
You
deep.
committed.
The deepest diver.
Yeah.
Yep.
Deep dive here. Yeah.
But once you're in, like, it's like a rabbit hole.
They're in deep.
So yeah, I remember spending hours on YouTube.
Oh,
just,
the
right?
rabbit hole
So-
of YouTube. My
like,
God.
And what did you guys
All been there.
what did you guys watch the most on YouTube? Was it Jack and Jill's? Was it
Champion
routines?
Jack
Was
and
it
Jill.
Yep.
Yep.
From novice, like when you started?
Yep.
Yep.
Which is probably a mistake.
I was the same. Champions the whole time I watched.
yeah.
Champions the whole time.
That's just
Jack
set
and
that
Jill's.
bar high.
Yeah.
It was more Jack and Jill's than routines.
Oh, 100%.
There was a few routines that I loved.
Yeah.
Watched those, but that's why
I remember I was very obsessed with Nini
Yep.
when I first started, or like her and Maxons. I just thought were like so cool, and she was just
Yeah.
like the coolest follower. I remember
Still
being
are.
like,
I was going to say, they still are.
still,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
remember watching her and being like, that's fucked. That's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so insane.
It's like I hate her and I love her so much at the same time. It's very confusing.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
it was just so intricate and like there was just so much going on, and it was like so
Yeah.
musical and like so much like individual like body movements going on, and like she just had so many things going on. I was so obsessed with it, so I was like, I remember watching a lot of her when I had first started.
You guys just made me think of another tip. Like this is just a tip.
Just the tip.
Like as far as like progressing through and bettering yourself and stuff. Obviously, like everyone can train and everyone can do all that sort of stuff. This is gonna sound really bad, but just wait until the end. Hopefully, I don't know. Like so, when you're practicing, go outside of your circle, like, and find those amazing dancers that aren't in your sphere that you can spend the most time with. Like we can spend time with each other the whole time.
No, we hardly ever see each other.
And
Yeah.
we can learn from each other if we ever want to. We can actually ask each other, right? But like go outside and go find those people that actually want to like inspire you that you can't reach out to all the time. And then another tip would be go and spend the time with the people that are going to be judging you the most. like in comps, or go and learn from the people that will be placing you, basically. Because if you can get in the eyes of those judges that are placing you, and do what they want you to do as the perfect dancer, in quote, like rabbit ear things, then you're gonna like have an upper advantage to someone that hasn't, right? Even if you can't do it, you have the advantage over knowing that maybe that's something you need to work on, right? And then you decide, okay, maybe I get a private, maybe I don't, whatever. But you know what those things are you need to kind of work on. I think is very useful. Just being around that scene as much as possible. Yeah. And it sounds like, people make the joke, bribe the judges. It's almost like a bribe. You're paying the judges for your private lesson for them to tell you what to do in the Jack and Jill, and then you do it. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Tick!
Yeah, it sounds bad. It's not bribery. It's just like,
it's just human nature.
It's a hack, I guess.
Yeah, it's just human nature. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sure.
You're not the only one though, so you do need to like put the effort into to learn and do it.
And I think that's like the bigger part of it is like, just like if you're really wanting to improve yourself, it just requires like effort. Like you just got to put the time in.
Yes.
Or like you need to be like doing stuff. At least when I remember starting, I was doing a lot of dancing by myself in my bedroom in front of a mirror.
Solo drills is so important.
And there was just so much content online, not like specifically West Coast, but like just like dancing
Just
in
body
general,
movement.
like body movement stuff.
Yeah.
I was like trying to recreate choreos I saw online.
Getting
Just, like,
comfortable.
hours I would spend like watching things, and just finding people that I think is inspiring, finding people that like I felt like drawn to.
Yeah, you're practicing the moves you learn on YouTube in your mirror, like this, and maybe that didn't work because there was
Damn,
no
my
followers.
follower is so good.
Dancing by yourself, like in your room. And I think like
Absolutely.
there was like things like I saw online. I was like, that was really cool. I wish I could do that. All right, I'll try. That was shit. And then I just kept trying. And then eventually it got to a point where it was kind of less shit.
And you do it with music on.
Yeah.
And then you take it to the social floor and you're like, that was bad.
Yep.
Oh, that was good.
Because West Coast is such an improvisational dance and it's so reliant on the connection. Like, you can't expect to do well attached to another human if you can't even understand your own body mechanics and how you move through things and how you interpret music and how you hit certain things in a song. It's just, it's impossible.
The self-awareness, like if you understand
huge.
what your body can do, then use it. There's this thing called what is your unfair advantage. So like, let's say, okay, you're taller and skinnier than I am. Let's say...
Oh, unfair. Unfair advantage.
Unfair advantage. Okay, let me use Georgia and, not Georgia and Keegan. Keegan and Kim.
Poor Keegan
Two very
and
different
Kim.
heights. Two very different heights.
Yeah.
There's advantages to both of them, right? But it's unfair because not everyone is those heights, right? It's two different heights. So Kim will have more ease going under the follower's arm, like ducking himself.
Keegan?
Kim.
Oh, okay.
Kim.
I was like, what?
Kim being the shorter one, right? So
Yeah.
he'll be able to go under like do ducks for himself, and do do some like trickier things under the arms. Keegan will definitely be able to do it. It'd just be probably a little bit more. He have to be a lot more conscious.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Kim, like, it would be more a struggle to go over the head of the partner stuff. Where Keegan, it's a lot easier. The follower feels like they have more space, right? So you have the unfair advantage and disadvantage, I guess you could say. But you want to focus on.
That's what an unfair advantage is. A disadvantage.
Is it?
Yep.
An unfair advantage is
Would
a
be
disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Well, it depends how you look at it, right? If you're like, so if I'm Kim, I wouldn't be doing.
This is great.
No, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Unfair advantage.
so it's unfair to everybody else, not unfair to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's unique to you.
He's tall, so he can do tall things better than short people could.
Yeah.
But the
that's
disadvantage
unfair.
is
That's such
that
unfair.
he
That's
is
unfair.
tall
Yeah.
and he
'Cause-
can't do things as well as
'cause
short people.
Yeah.
I
So-
couldn't choose my height. It's not something I could be like, okay, let me extend myself about this much.
Yeah. totally good. Heels, bro.
Yeah.
Heels.
But I think like finding what your unfair advantage is, whether that might be you have years of solo dance experience, use it. Maybe that might mean your ballet turns, you can do millions of spins. Maybe that means you've got floor work. Whatever that unfair advantage is, figure it out, be self-aware and use it.
Yes, that unfair advantage.
Am I saying it wrong?
Or their,
I'm sorry.
or their advantage versus disadvantage. Yes.
No, for sure. No, I think
mate.
I know what you're saying. I think it's good.
People
Yeah,
focus
yeah.
on the negatives, right? They're like,
Yeah.
I'm too tall, or I'm too big, my muscles can't let me be flexible, or I'm too strong.
You've both
And
got
all
that
of these
problem.
excuses, like all these excuses. I'm tired. I gotta go to work. I start work at 4 a.m. in the morning, right? I understand.
Segue.
Yeah, segue. Like there's like you said before, you put the effort in, right? There's like people come up with excuses of like not putting the effort in. I just don't have time. It's about your priorities.
Yeah.
Put the work in. Don't give yourself excuses for this advantage that you could have. Yeah.
And then try and learn as much as you can from I guess, and we kind of
As
talked
many
about this
people as you
before.
can.
As many people as you can, because
Yeah.
not everything you learn is going to actually work for you.
Yes.
Like you're gonna like learn things, or like you look at like a teacher or like a couple that you like think is really cool, and you learn things from them, and it's like, oh, these are really cool things. These other things are not working, and or like
Yes.
are completely different to how I'm currently doing it. So your two choices are either trying to change what you're currently doing to match whatever you're like learning from this person, or maybe find what a different teacher would do in this sense, and maybe that works better for you. And instead of trying to just I guess replicate this like specific person, you've then got all of these different like pools you're taking from, and kind of like jumbling into this big mushy dancer love and learn and knowledge.
You got to know which ones you want to use.
Yeah.
Which ones you don't?
And every teacher explains things differently, and this is where the light bulb moments come in. You might have the same exact thing you're working on, but someone explains it differently, and it's like, oh my god, I understand now.
Yeah.
Because of how their learning style and their teaching style just kind of works together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think accountability is a huge part of the training process, though. So I think
Yeah.
if you are training or focusing on a specific thing, having those like critique or like practice groups is good, because you have a group of people that if you share what you're working on they can kind of help keep you accountable and help check in and, you know, give you feedback on where it's at.
Even without the groups,
Just even with a dance
self-accountability.
partner. Yeah.
Self-accountability. When you watch a video of yourself, don't blame your partner.
Oh,
Don't
no,
blame
partner
the
blaming
song.
is not good.
Don't blame the freaking dance floor, whatever it is. If you slipped over, that's your fault. Like, just own it, like it happens.
Within reason.
Within reason.
Sorry,
I'm
yeah,
thinking back-
obviously.
I'm thinking
Within
back
reason.
to
Sorry.
like Ian Lee whacking that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
elbow to
Yeah,
the
okay,
face is
sorry.
a bit of an exception.
Sorry,
I feel.
there's. Oh my god. There's obviously things that you can't control, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just don't try to read into it and see what you can fix first before you point the finger at someone else.
Yeah.
And you also
100%.
said in there as well, which I really like, video yourself and
I
watch
hate
back.
watching myself.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary thing.
Like
I love
there's
watching
like
myself.
a really good
course you do.
amount that you can do physically and feel wise in terms of like this feels right and this feels wrong, and like on a feeling based level you can figure out what it's meant to feel like. But that doesn't always mean it's going to look
Absolutely.
good. Just because something feels good does not always mean
Correct.
it's going to look good. So like a really good way
Or
to...
vice versa.
Or vice versa.
That's why when you do a private, you take a partner with you.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
even if you don't use that person or the demo or the person that's going to help you out in that private, you take that person. They're going to get something out of it. It's free. They're going to just be able to listen.
They can take notes
but
for you.
as the teacher, they can see what you look like and also feel what you look like because they can dance with you. Now, as far as that person's capability, I would recommend making sure that person is either the same or higher level than you are.
Yep.
And that would just make it easier for the teacher to assess your skills, not so much being like, okay, this is happening because the other person isn't quite working with what is happening.
Yep.
On both ends, lead and follow.
Yeah.
It just means you don't have to focus. You could even, like if the other person's better than what the person we're focusing on's level is, we can ask the other person to be like, hey, can you do it this certain way? Maybe even if they're the same level, you never know.
Yeah.
But you can ask them, hey, can you do it like this so I can see how this person would react? I want to see how this person would deal with this. Now do this, see how you react, and just test out a few options.
Yeah.
I like that as a skill.
I think as a school owner, I think it's really nice if you can involve your crew as those people as well.
Yes.
Sometimes, because as long as like you said, the level is appropriate, it's good for your teaching staff to kind of understand what you're relaying to your students and what you're giving to them, and also for them to get teaching experience and help keep your students accountable at the same time. So if you're in a position to do that, that's also a really good idea.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So should we give out, since we're talking about developing, should we give out a little fun surprise? Yeah?
Surprise.
Yeah? Half?
Yeah.
Half?
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 Half price.
Half price?
Half price?
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Half
still
price?
has no idea what we're talking about.
He's not there yet.
I'm like,
He'll be there in a second.
I'm in. I love it.
Okay.
I'm
Of
on
course
it.
you do.
Okay,
And I know
well,
what
we're
is
not just
going
going to give away a half price private. Let's say...
Oh,
There
that's
he
what I
is.
thought.
let's say, okay, that if you guys feel like you got something out of this and you would like to take a private with us, I want to give it more than half price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full price. Double the price of a normal private.
Maddie's kicking me under the
I'm
table.
not kicking you.
That's me. Sorry, I was trying to play
Was that you?
footsies.
We're all trying to play
Okay,
with each other.
let's go half price private with, we'll all give a half price private away. If you guys could share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, it would help us out a lot. We will give this out as soon as we hit the 500 mark or 1,000.
500 followers
500
Yeah.
followers on
So as
YouTube
soon
or
as-
Instagram?
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.
As soon as
Okay.
we get 500 subscribers on YouTube, we will each give one half price private out.
Yep.
Yep.
And it'll be from one of those 500.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
however, you need to be following the YouTube account and the Instagram account.
Yeah.
And need to know the secret password, which is acorn.
Acorn.
Acorn. Not a acorn. But
Acorn.
Acorn, like an
I know
acorn
what-
thing from
yeah.
a tree.
Is that spelled differently to a corn on a corn?
Yeah, there's no space between the
Yeah,
A and
the
the.
difference is no space.
Instead of that being
Whoa.
2 words, it's
Yeah.
one.
English.
On that note, everybody.
We hope that we'll obviously see you in the next episode.
As always.
Hey,
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.